Good evening, you guys. This is gonna be the review for Logan, the X-Men movie with Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and Dafne Keen. First of all, as a disclaimer, this movie is an R-rated movie, so I'm gonna make this review an R-rated review. So if somebody's offended that I swear a lot or use the F word a lot, then consider yourself warned. But now to the main point. Firstly, I'm gonna talk about the actors, their acting in roles that they inhabit. And then I'm gonna talk about the plot, and then I'm gonna talk about some things that I liked and some things that I didn't like, which aren't gonna be many because this was one of the greatest superhero movies I ever seen. Consider this a spoiler review. I'm gonna review some of the plot, so if you don't like that, please go and watch the movie first and then come back and watch this. Put this on your watch later list if you wanna watch this later. Now to the main part. So, firstly, the actors. I have to say that Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman do a fantastic job in this movie. They interact so nicely. They are like bread and butter. You can't have the other without the other one. Their their banter to one another is fantastic. It's down to par. It's basically if you have watched Star Trek: The Next Generation blooper reels, you know that in real life Patrick Stewart is a very R-rated person. He swears a lot in those um, blooper reels and uses fuck a lot and shit and stuff like that. So when I saw that the first time, I was completely surprised because I got used to his very controlled and very soft-spoken character of Captain Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek: The Next Generation TV series. So knowing that he's an R-rated actor or person was very good in going into Logan because he let's say he makes his points very straight, using very straight language, and swears a lot at Logan in this movie, and it works. It just works so fucking perfectly. This is one of the best written movies that I've seen ever. The words seem to fit into the actors' mouths, and there isn't many missed beats in this movie when it comes to the writing. Not at all. It's a very well written movie. And yeah, about Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Logan or Wolverine. It's also fantastic because he's portraying this ailing and aging Wolverine that has a drinking problem, has some attitude issues, very strong ones I might add. Hugh Jackman just embodies this role so perfectly. It's fantastic. It's absolutely great. Um, the way he interacts with Daphne Dean's character called Laura, it's because yeah, he's so fed up with the girl at some points of the movie, but then again he cares for this very young person that is Laura in this movie. So he just gives it his all because, as many people know, he has said many times that this is gonna be he's he's like final time as Wolverine. Whoever wants to believe that, go ahead believe that. I won't believe that until about 5 years has passed because the guy is so perfect as Wolverine. It's gonna be very hard to, if you wanna do some like prequel stuff to this, because spoil warning, Wolverine is gonna die at the end of the movie. I think it was fantastically done. It was his character was played out and was laid out so perfectly in this movie. And as a disclaimer, I'm not the biggest fan of the X-Men movies. Maybe X-Men 1 and 2, but after that I kind of dropped out, and I haven't seen like any Wolverine action until X-Men Apocalypse, in which he had a very like small role. So seeing this um, brought me back to the understanding that why people always say that he's the perfect Wolverine. As by the way is Patrick Stewart, because Patrick Stewart's character gets a nice arc in this movie, and there's a few surprises along the way. He's the character has lost his memory a bit, so, and he's ailing, so, but Patrick Stewart plays that so beautifully. But, and now we come to the biggest star of the movie in my mind, who is Dafne Keen. I have absolutely, I had absolutely no prior knowledge of this actress. She seems very young, like 10, 11, something along those lines. So, but her portrayal of the character of Laura, who is this young girl that kind of is the whole idea of the story. It's spot on. Um, she's she gives her all, and I wouldn't be surprised if she would get an Oscar nod for this role, even though she's so young, because you believe the girl, you believe the character, you were prepared to follow her wherever she went, and however hard it was to follow her to that place, because her character has some very strong scenes with Hugh Jackman, not so much with Patrick Stewart's character, but Professor X, but with Logan. Logan, she has many very tough emotional scenes that demand a lot of an actor or an actress, and she delivers. And she delivers like full on 100%. And it's funny because, well, at least in Finland, where I was watching this, I was watching it in Helsinki, think, you know. So they didn't translate because she talks Spanish in this movie a lot. So they didn't translate the Spanish into Finnish, which I found to be the absolute right way to go, because you didn't kind of all the time understand what she was saying or meaning, but it was one of the greatest pulls of the story, because you had to follow on Wolverine's reactions, or Logan, or let's call him Logan's reactions to what the girl was saying, because Logan could understand her, it seemed, almost all the time. So yeah, she, well, as I will say it out loud, she's one of the greatest child actors I have seen in a long while, and I haven't actually seen that many, but she's one of those ones that you really believed her. And let's not kid one another. She had some very strong and demanding scenes, also alone or as a part of a group of youngsters at the end of the movie. So this role of Laura wasn't an easy one, and Daphne Keane really pulled it off so good, so perfect. It was absolutely fantastic to watch. And of course, there are other actors in the movie, but to be honest, the other actors are the ones that I had the most problems with. I'll come back to those once I'm in the section of what I didn't like, because most of my complaints are based or focused on those actors and like characters. Because let's face it, some of them were very well. You forget them easily. You don't forget these three main stars. You absolutely don't. But then about the story or the plot, the movie starts when Logan is caring for Professor X, because Professor X is aging and ailing away and has problems controlling his mutant powers that create some big problems for the surrounding community. Um, so he's being housed in this protective bubble, this metallic almost bubble that kind of hinders his abilities to use his powers, and um, Logan is protecting him and caring for him. So then into the picture enters a woman that says to Logan that you gotta help her move her like daughter and her out of the country. At first, it was to the border with Canada, um, and Wolverine doesn't want to do it, but then she offers him money, and the story kind of takes off from there. And the story then begins to center around the fact that Logan and Professor X must protect this girl Laura from forces like pursuing her around the country. Logan, Professor X, and Laura go into this what I would call road trip, um, and along the way they go to a casino and stay there for a couple of nights, and Professor X has to use his powers to protect Laura, because the men pursuing her find them there and want to take Laura out of the picture. So then Professor X must use his mind control techniques that also create a lot of problems for the other patrons in the casino. So they need to get out of there pretty fast, and then they end up in this country house or farmhouse of this family, and they make them believe that they are a son, a dad, and this son's daughter, being of course Logan. That they need to. They are going for like a road trip scenic tour uh, and they end up staying at this family's farmhouse, and there's gonna be there's there's problems in the farmhouse. The family gets killed, and and like again they have to Laura and Professor X and Logan have to Professor X is well, he dies there at this house. So Logan and Laura continue. Um, Only the two of them continue together the story. So and then they end up in this place called Eden, that is a sanctuary for for young mutants. And The ending was one part that I would have a big problem like explaining so that I would make any sense at all. So I'll leave that up to you guys if you want to go and watch this. If you want to go and watch the movie, so you can see what happens there. It's the ending is very full of action and very like high pace, but also there's a lot of like emotions running through it, and it's fantastically and beautifully done. So that was the plot part, and then to the parts that I liked, which are gonna be many, so bear with me. First, the dialogue. The dialogue in this movie, as I said before, was perfect because the actors that were saying the dialogue felt very at home with the dialogue. So there wasn't any, or there weren't any like kind of awkward moments with the dialogue where you felt that the actors were given a line that they didn't want to say. Like, for example, if Professor X and Logan sweared, or used the F word to be precise, they did it in a way that you didn't even kind of notice, which is a mark of a good screenplay. So yeah, and the other part to which I alluded before was that this character Laura spoke in the movie was mute for most of the time, but then Logan discovers that she can actually talk, and the way that her lines were put together was fantastic because, as I said, they didn't bother to translate the Spanish dialogue into Finnish, which I'll give full points to the whoever was doing the translation, so that you left some mystery into the air, and it felt very confusing, but by design some at some points. Um, and but when she had something meaningful to say, the character of Laura, the actor Dafne Dean was perfect in delivering those very emotional lines, and I must say that I got a bit teary eyed because the at the end there's a scene that requires a whole lot of dialogue and a whole lot of even unspoken dialogue, and this girl delivers those lines and those unspoken lines very well. And also in the subject of dialogue, there's there's one thing that I have been missing in these so-called superhero genre movies, which is meaningful dialogue. So you will have some in the other movies you might have some dialogue that is like that is just there to get the characters talking. But with this movie, it felt like the main part of the movie was the dialogue. The story was driven by the dialogue, either between Logan and Professor X, or either between Logan and Laura. So the way that they handled the story through dialogue and not through action was perfect. And don't get me wrong, there's some bone-chilling action in this movie also, because of course it's a R-rated movie, so you can show blood, guts, and gore. So, but it wasn't the main point, which I give 10 points to the movie for that. Absolutely 10 points. And yeah, one other thing I liked was the relationship between Professor X and Logan, because it felt very much like a real relationship. You could see that Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman really like each other. They are very easy together, and it's very easy for them to act together. They seem to get the best out of one another. And actually, I saw this in what's the guy's name on BBC? Graham Norton's show a couple of weeks ago, when Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart were doing some publicity stuff for this movie. So they have this genuine love for one another, these two people, and it really shines through. And the other thing I liked was the relationship between Logan and Laura, because without giving the ending away, they managed to show real growth of their relationship. At first, Logan thought that she was a squealing brat that he had to grab along, and she was like, "Fuck, shut up, you," this kind of talk all the time. And when the movie progressed, you really started to care for that relationship, and it got its like natural fulfillment at the end, which was fantastic. And again, kudos to the actors. They managed to deliver the ending in a way that made it worthwhile, worth your money, worth the whole length of the movie. And yeah, I guess those are the main points. Let's see if I forgot anything. Well, not that much. When you go to the movie, you can. Let's say so that I like the whole movie a lot, minus some minor details. And now I come to the minor details, which are the supporting characters. Because at least for me, I didn't form that much of an attachment to those supporting characters, which was a shame, because there was a lot of good actors, like Stephen Marchand playing Caliban, and Elizabeth Rodriguez playing Gabriela, and Richard E. Grant playing Dr. Rice, and Eric LaSalle playing Will Manson. So it's really a shame that I didn't. I kind of forgot the other characters, that they were there already once I came home from the movie, because the whole of my attention was focused on the three main characters. And I guess that was the way it was designed. But the general criticism that many of the Marvel movies have gotten is that the villains are like just there because you have to have villains, because it's a comic book movie. And I kind of got the same feeling from this movie as well. The bad boys were there just because you had to have some bad boys there. And it's a shame, because, as I said, there was some good actors playing the roles. So, but it felt like, of course, you didn't exactly know where the movie was going all the time, but I felt like, of course, the main characters were running from the bad guys all the time, but it felt like so generic at some points that it was just as I said before. It was just that you needed those bad guys to be there because you needed bad guys, and because at least for me, if you took the bad guys out of the picture would have, with a few minor changes here and there, it would have still worked and still worked perfectly. So, yeah, for me, I didn't care for the bad guys or the supporting characters for that matter that much. Um, and perhaps the start of the picture was a bit meh for me. But when it because the start was a bit, I don't know how to describe it. It was a bit here and there. But once the picture got, the movie got really going, it got going and it hooked me so perfectly. So it didn't really matter. Um, let's see if I have some other complaints. Let me think here. Actually, no. It was a pretty flawless movie, minus those few minor details that I mentioned. So if I had to give this movie how many stars out of five, I would give it like 4 stars out of five. Because make no mistake, this movie will be big in this year's or next year's award shows. I'm pretty sure of it because if we are talking about a movie that has heart, that has plot, that has good acting, that has good direction, that has a good script, you got it here. You got it in Logan. You got it in Stripes in Logan. So there's nothing much that they could have done to make it any more perfect than it already was, minus those few details that I mentioned. And by the way, I forgot to mention the director and writer at the start of the movie. Sorry about at the start of the review. Sorry about that. I will correct that right now. This movie was directed by James Mangold and written by James Mangold and Scott Frank. Um, and yeah, I guess that's it for this review. So if you haven't watched this movie before you watch this review, go and spend money on this movie because it's worth every cent. Um, I'm usually more critical of movies, but this time I couldn't be that much critical. So yeah, go and enjoy the heck out of this movie, and I'll get back to you next week with another review, which most likely will be Hidden Figures. So, for my US based viewers, sorry, I guess that many people over there have seen the movie, but here in Finland it only came to premiere this. Actually, it came today. So the 10th of March. So um, that's a subject that I will make a video of altogether on its own. The subject of movie release dates because it's really starting to bug me in a bad way. Because I think Hidden Figures has been out in the States now almost 2 months, or over 2 months to be exact, I think. So it's a shame that we don't get to see these fantastic movies at the same time as you guys in the States. But it can be helped. So as I said, my next review will be most likely Hidden Figures, and then most likely Kong Skull Island, and then after that maybe Beauty and the Beast if I can drag myself into that movie, because I know many people have high hopes for the movie, but I'm such a big fan of the original Disney animation classic, so I'm not holding my hopes very high for this movie. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, said it. That's my view. So, but anyhow, have a good night or day or morning, whenever you're watching this, and I'll get back to you soon with either movie reviews or Star Wars or Star Trek news. So, see you again soon. Bye bye.